I'm Chris McDonough, a retired homicide detective. I've interviewed thousands of people, from serial killers to ministers. Welcome to the interview room. So let's go over to Dr. Petreca for a moment, shall we? And now, Victor, I know you have been doing some behind the scenes research with your colleagues here, and you actually discovered or found the actual questionnaires and everything for Bryan's research. And you don't have the answers, but you have the questions. And what I think.
All right, so I quickly acted once I saw the first post, right, that I think a lot of people are familiar with now, that indicated that he had been doing some research in May of this year, and that happened to have a link to Qualtrics. Just very quickly, Qualtrics is a tool that we use for survey methodology in research, and that seemed to be what he was using through the DeSales University at that time. I was fortunate to be able to get to all the questions before it got pulled out, because I was sure that they wouldn't keep it there. But I think it's helpful for us to look over just very quickly about some of the areas that he was covering in this research. That is, assuming that the profile was indeed his. I'm going to call him BCK2 just for the sake of coining the term, or emphasizing the term first, which was very expertly coined. So as you can see, he was reaching out to different people who had been arrested and committed any crimes, and trying to get information from them. This is in itself is pretty innocuous. It's something that we do in forensic research and criminology research, and we try to find out, right, what is this person age, what is this person gender identity, we want to know their racial, ethnic background. Those are pretty standard questions that we will basically be seeking in any type of research. So at this point, I don't think there's very much mystery here. But of course, one of the areas that he was interested in was what was the type of crime that someone committed, and also details about what that crime represented, what type of offense that represented. And interestingly, he was focusing on thoughts, beliefs, perceptions that the person would have reported. So he wanted to know if the person was employed, if they had any issues with their family, any type of predisposing factors. And that was followed by just general questions in which the individuals were asked, did you have anything before you left? After committing the crime, what were you thinking and feeling? And why did you choose or target a specific victim? So this to me shows someone who was very curious on the thought process of someone who's committing a crime. And again, this is something that a lot of people who study forensics and criminology happen to be interested. I'm interested in those things in my own research. That being said, I am interested in to learn how other people feel. And it makes you wonder if this person who at this point is a suspect, to emphasize that one more time, is there potentially a sense of comparison on how others feel to how they hypothetically would feel? And that is already tying in with the comment that Gary was making. If you have someone who maybe has some awkwardness or is a bit of an odd duck and maybe not the best social cue reader, it's not uncommon for that person to be doing checks with others, trying to compare how they feel, because if they are a little bit odd or they sense that there's something different about them, it's not unusual to try to seek confirmation elsewhere. And an interesting part of this survey was the inquiry about unique traits that someone might have had, such as feeling nervous or anxious, trouble relaxing, being so restless that it's hard to sit still. So here, there's a little bit of a screening on a person's potential underlying personality archetype or even potential psychopathology. And that follows through with assessments for depression. These questions, if you are familiar with the DSM or psychiatry, they're pretty standard screening questions for depression. And this, to me, is a little bit unusual. I usually wouldn't be screening for depression to this depth in research that is particularly focusing on crime and the thought process involving crime. So this stands out a bit. And along with that, we had questions that were looking into different scenarios that were posed to the potential participants, asking how much they related to the scenarios. And here you can see that some of these questions are assessing if this person has a sense of remorse or some sort of conscience, right? Like if you see question number 4, you lie to people, but they never find out about it. What is the likelihood that you would feel terrible about the lie that you told? So this is, once again, potentially this check on how do I feel? Does it correspond to how other people feel? Or if you're just, of course, a standard researcher, you're just trying to find out, right? These people who have committed certain crimes, are they people who, in these hypothetical scenarios, show any sort of disregard for others or of a lack of empathy, perhaps? And then there were some general questions that were pertaining to how people react, like I'm quick to temper, I'm good at resisting temptation, I'm lazy. Basically, questions that are pointing out to how someone sees their own personality, how they see themselves in relation to others. So
Okay,
I think that
yes, go ahead.
one thing that I wanted to point it out for that I haven't seen being discussed very often, but to me, what is unusual, yes, there are aspects of their survey that do stand out as a bit maybe not really related to this type of research usually, but the part that is most odd to me is the timing, because he released the survey in May, he graduated in June. For anybody who does research, it takes a long time to collect data. So usually when I put a survey out, it will take me months, sometimes 6 months, just to get responses back. And then I'll analyze the data. Then I'll write up the data. That whole process can take a year, sometimes even more. So to me, I don't see, it would be hard to see a connection between that particular survey and graduation, because it's just impossible to get it done in the timeline, you know? So the question mark is, was that survey really for the requirements for the degree, or was that done at his own leisure using the particular tool from the university to just reach out to a population that you're interested in? It has a pretty convincing badge on it, right, that will encourage people to participate because it seems official, but it wasn't truly associated with the degree in itself.